Welcome, fellow Jayhawks, to Bachelors in Science Investigating Careers interview series. Today with us, we have Dr. Ben Isaacs from Argenta Global, a leading pharmaceutical company specializing in animal health science. He's here to share with us some tips and advices for key students working towards getting a bachelor's in science. So thank you so much, Dr. Ben Isaacs, for being here today. Please tell us a little bit more about yourself, your career position, and the company that you're representing.
Hannah, thank you and the Jayhawk community for having me on this video call. I am Ben Isaacs. I am the Pharma Science R&D head for the United States operations of Argenta Global when it comes to R&D, developing products for animal healthcare. Argenta Global started in a very small way, as most companies do, back in Auckland about 12 years ago. And they have, over the years, consistently and very steadily grown because of innovations, because of high quality science, and adhering to good manufacturing practices. We have operations in multiple continents. We have operations in, of course, New Zealand. We have operations in the United States, and I will explain the locations in the US and what we do. And of course, and also operations in Dundee, Scotland. So Argenta Global is what's known in the pharmaceutical industry parlance as a CDMO, Contract Development and Manufacturing Organization. We have R&D capabilities and manufacturing capabilities in 3 major locations in the world. So I like to say that Argenta Global is a company where the sun never sets. In Auckland, we have both development and manufacturing. In the United States, very uniquely, we have 3 locations. Here in Kansas, I head the research and development unit. There is a clinical research group in New Jersey, and we have a manufacturing facility in Fort Dodge, Iowa. So Dundee at the present time only does manufacturing. At some point, as the company continues to grow, we expect they will have their own research and development facility. And the wonderful thing about Argenta is that we're a very dynamic, diverse company, and that we are at the cutting edge in terms of innovation to develop drugs to animals, both small and large. We go across the animal kingdom: cats, dogs, cattle, pigs, name it, we do it. And there are different challenges with each class of animals, and whether they are for dairy or whether they are for feedstock or they are companion animals like cats and dogs. So that's Argenta in a nutshell. We're globally about 455 souls, all working very hard to meet the expectations and to exceed the expectations in as high quality work that we are capable of in supporting our clients, who also happen to be global, of course.
Yeah, wow, that's great. So what attracted you to this career path in working with animal science, and what are some of the biggest rewards in working with Argenta Global and within the industry so far?
You know, the animal science sector of pharmaceutical industry is much smaller than the human side. And most of us in the company did start our lives in the human side of the business. I personally, after I got my doctorate in chemistry from the University of Oklahoma, I did a postdoc, and those days it was kind of expected that I would follow into the footsteps of my ancestors, my mother, my grandmother, so on, into teaching. But it also happened at that time that the opportunity was right. I've always been an incredibly fortunate person, always a right person at the right time. And the biotech industry, particularly in the Cambridge, Massachusetts region of the country, was incredibly ripe. Opportunities were tremendous. There's so many new things happening. Most of us didn't know what the next thing was going to be. It was that exciting and that new. So that drew me into it. So I went there, taking with me my bag of tricks that I learned both in grad school and as a postdoc, and started to wonder about how we take biologicals or recombinant DNA derived products into human therapeutic pharmaceuticals. And in that process, I identified an unmet need and I decided to start my own CDMO. I ran that for about 15 to 20 years. And, as I say, all good things come to an end. And when that ended, as most people in Massachusetts and the northeast of the country do, when they finish up with what they were doing, they head to Florida. So that's what I did. I went there and I got tired of watching other people play golf. And I decided that I need to do something more useful with my life. And an opportunity came by, and someone told me that here's a very interesting opportunity to be part of a dynamic organization that is global, that is looking very, very seriously to expand its footprint in the United States. The US, whether it be human or animals, is still a significant fraction, a significant portion of the market, of, of the global market. So I convinced my family to leave Florida. I told them that you haven't lived life till you've lived in the Midwest. The unique opportunity, the unique geographical advantage we have being here in Lawrence, Kansas. We happen to be smack dab in the middle of what is called the Animal Health Corridor. It starts at one side of I-70 in Columbia, Missouri, and ends in Little Apple, or the rest of the world known as Manhattan, Kansas. So between that, of course, there are tremendous three major universities: University of Missouri, KU, and KSU. And there's a whole bunch of companies along this corridor. And we thought we could try and grow our business and help them grow their business by being more proactive and making sure that our foothold that we have here in Lawrence will grow over the years. And to me, that was a challenge I could not resist. It beats watching other people play golf. So I decided to come here. And it's almost been 2 years and it's never been a dull moment.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing with us those personal and professional stories of yours. That really leads me to the next question. What previous professional or personal experiences have helped you most in your current career?
I think the biggest is all my steps, whether it was grad school, the few things I learned there, or the many things I learned there, I should say. And of course, my postdoc, all pretty much put me on the yellow brick road, if you will, towards starting my own company, which was also a CDMO, but dedicated to human healthcare. And then from there, coming to animal healthcare was simply a matter of me trying to, an old dog trying to learn new tricks. I figured I wasn't that old. I'm capable of learning something new. So that's what brought me here professionally.
Great. And what are some opportunities at your organization for science graduates with bachelor's degree? I know you mentioned going to graduate school, but we also know that graduate school is very competitive and some people may want to work right after graduating with a bachelor's degree. So I'm wondering, what are some opportunities at your organization?
Great question. I think when most people look at a company and they look at the world at large in terms of science graduates in particular, people tend to think, oh, if you're a science graduate, you go join a company like Argenta or somebody like other companies, similar companies, and you end up becoming a glorified bottle washer or, doing basic lab work. The beauty of Argenta, or companies like Argenta that are very few in the industry, is that it gives you an opportunity to be exposed to a wide range. See, if you went to a sponsor company, you get put on one project. That's probably all you might see for the next 2 years of your career there. When you come to Argenta, we have a high turnover of projects. So you may be working on a project for a cat today, and potentially 6 months down the line, you could be working for something else as a topical application for cattle. The challenges of developing novel deliveries for different kinds of animals is very, very invigorating because humans can swallow tablets, right? Even kids can be made to take tablets. Try feeding a tablet to a cat. You might end up losing your eyes. They will just scratch the hell out of you. So you're going to find clever and novel ways to get the active ingredient across to the animal. So that's a challenge. And yes, so you have this novelty in terms of how you deliver drugs. But then you have the variety of drugs that you come across because you come across a variety of clients, a variety of market needs. That kind of richness you do not get if you went into any standard science lab where you're told, okay, here's the pH meter, here's that, here's the HPLC, XYZ, that's it. Because of this exposure, I feel, and in my own experience, in my own CDMO, I felt my staff, once they learned what they needed to learn, and they brought something to the table on top of that, they're able to move on to other challenging aspects of drug development. Remember, we are in a very highly competitive and even more highly regulated industry. Documentation is not just writing on a piece of paper and signing off on it. We take documentation, we take quality, we take the science, the innovation behind it very seriously. It impacts lives, whether it's four-legged or it's two-legged. It's still life, it has to be taken seriously. So there is tremendous responsibility that even a very young science graduate is going to face in a dynamic organization like ours. So, and once they come in, I've seen people branch out and go in one direction of the company's multiple facets, depending on where their lights or their proclivities might take them towards. So I've seen people go into business development. I've seen people go into regulatory affairs. I've seen people go into documentation and quality control, go into quality assurance, or just flat out go into manufacturing because you do need skilled labor. This is not just making widgets. This is making a novel therapeutic product. So somebody with a strong science background can be a tremendous manufacturing operations asset. So the chances to grow, the possibilities for advancement for a regular science graduate after they have shown their value to the company is tremendous. There are two ways things can go for science graduates. I'll give you both as examples from my own operations in Massachusetts. When I first started, a young lady came to me. She heard about the company and she was seeing if I was hiring, and I happened to be. She had a degree in environmental science. Now, it's not chemistry, it's not physics, it's not biology, it's not anything like that. Environmental science, I don't know the first thing about. But what impressed me about her was her enthusiasm, her eagerness to learn, her drive. Many years later, as I was growing the company, she came to me and said, you know, Ben, at some point we're going to need quality labs, quality control labs. I'd like to be the one to take the initiative and set it up for you. And that's what she did. See, so it doesn't really, in many ways, doesn't matter if you have the drive, you have the innate skills and the desire to succeed, you will succeed. There's also science graduates who come through in my past, where you're with them 6 months, maybe a year, and you realize this person really needs to go to grad school. That they will do that much more for their own lives and for the and the folks that they will come in contact with. And I've actually pushed many of these fellows and people out of the door into grad school. I felt very fortunate to be able to do that, and they have fortunately done very well in that in their new track. So science graduates can come to the real world, see how things are, and if they are somebody who feels they need to go to grad school, and I agree, I'll be the first to lead them by the nose out of the door.
That's great to hear. That's really great to hear that you are maintaining high ethical standards over Argenta Global and providing such diverse career pathways at Argenta Global and opportunities. Thank you so much. And following up with that question, what are some of your tips on how to stand out amongst other applicants for when applying for a position at Argenta Global, and how to stand out during interviews?
Great question. The thing that I look for is how articulate a person is. Not everybody has a great story. Not everybody has done research in the lab. Not everybody has had a chance to be an intern somewhere at a company during the summer. Everybody's personal life dictates what they can and cannot do. Not everybody has opportunities. So not everybody can tell you that great story, how they went into a lab and solved the mysteries of the world. However, if they can tell me about a class they took that they really liked, they can articulate that class, not just wrote words about what the teacher did and what was said and so on and so forth, but the essence of what they got from that and how they think that can help them. That's something that candidates should come prepared to tell folks like me. It's very important. Have a elevator speech as you walk in and sit down and introduce yourself about who you are and what brings you in front of me for that conversation. And if they put something on a resume, be prepared to know what it is. I know so many will simply say, they walk by a lab that was doing some work and they put that down as one of their skills. I can pretty much at random pick up these things. And most people who have had the number of years as I have will be able to pick up on it very quickly. And then phonies get shown the door very quickly. There's no need for that. So if you put something down that you're an ace bartender, well, tell me how you make a Moscow Mule. Mm-hmm. That sort of thing, you're looking for credibility really at that level.
Yeah, wonderful. Those are wonderful tips. Thank you so much. And is there anything about your organization or field that underrepresented students or populations should know about? This may include your company's official diversity statement or diverse opportunities in the field, or any additional advices and encouragements you may have for fellow Jayhawks from underrepresented communities?
That's, again, you've got a whole bunch of awesome questions coming right at me one after the other. This one's touches a nerve in me because one of the things that really attracted me to Argenta is that they are an incredibly diverse company. They're almost like a United Nations, if you think about it, But none of these people were hired because they happened to come from Thailand or Japan or China or from India or expats like me from India. We are there because they feel and they felt and continue to feel that we are bringing serious value to our presence in the organization in meeting its corporate objectives so that stakeholders and stockholders both are satisfied. To us, the biggest stakeholders are our clients. The next class of stakeholders are our own staff at all levels. So diversity for the sake of diversity is divisive, should never be done. And any class organization will never indulge in those things that you hear about. That's counterproductive. You don't hire somebody of a certain sexuality just because you feel good doing that. This is not the playground for social justice warriors to succeed. This is for people who are serious about their life and serious about making an impact through their contributions to the lives of many. So I applaud Argenta for the amazing diversity we have, but I don't think any one of us is in the organization because of that particular label that identity politics puts on people like us. So I practiced that in my own CDMO, and I gravitated towards Argenta when I was being recruited because they reflected the very same values that I believe in. And I believe every person in Argenta believes so. Nobody's sitting and saying, yeah, I got in because, I'm X.
Mhm.
So there is nothing underrepresented. It is represented to the extent that the company's, goals would be
Mhm.
met and the individual's goals and aspirations are nourished and met.
Great. Yeah. Thank you. It sounds like you put an emphasis on abilities, and at the same time, there are diverse populations working for the company. So there's a balance of both, it seems like. Emphasis on abilities and also emphasis on being able to be articulate and being able to communicate people from different identities and cultures.
Yes, we have accents galore. New Zealanders have their own accent, Australians do, the English do, and good old me and my accent, and you can imagine everybody else in between. But we all know how to work together. So nothing is imposed. No one tells me I have to be nice to somebody.
Mhm.
I am nice to them and they are nice to me because we are on the same boat, rowing in the same direction. We have common goals. When those goals diverge, people go out of that orbit into something different. But that's what successful companies do. That's how they succeed. They don't ever look at someone and say, nah, they're from, that part of that geographical region of the world, and let's not take them. So
Thank you for
it's
sharing.
counterproductive. Businesses cannot survive if they take on that myopic view that unfortunately the world at large seems to hold.
Mhm.
We are for results. They're about meeting goals and expectations. So whoever can take us there and help us take us there, join us. We'll have fun together. Simple as that.
Yeah, thank you for sharing your valuable perspective. And my next question is, what opportunities for post-graduation professional development exist in your organization or in your career? And or what kinds of professional development do you suggest students do while pursuing a career like yours?
In my previous stop, when I ran my own CDMO, I made sure that every one of my staff was cross-trained. I didn't want someone to be pigeonholed as X and capable only of X. I wanted to make sure that they learn Y and Z as well. It benefits the organization because then there is no single point of failure. It benefits the individual because they have learned more than what they came into the organization with. It's not about milking a person for what all they've got. It's about making sure that they can contribute on multiple levels at a higher level consistently. So from that point of view, cross training has been the buzzword that I have insisted upon here in Kansas. Prior to my arrival, people saw themselves as doing X. One group saw themselves doing as Y, and the others said, I will do Z. I want everybody to do X, Y, and Z and be really good at it. That way, when someone new comes in, they know they won't be pigeonholed. They know they'll be trained by any one of my team. I don't have to depend on one person to do the training. Everybody can participate in it and do a good job of welcoming the new person into the team. In terms of preparation, the more well-rounded somebody is, always it's a good thing. But as a fresh science graduate, it's hard to expect that. We do not expect that. We expect that they will go in a path that is chosen for them based on their desires based on their capabilities and based on their initiative. But it's up to the organization to give them those opportunities. And that's what we are here for.
So my last question for you, is there anything that you would like to emphasize on and you would like to add on onto this interview? Anything that we did not know about that you would like to share with us?
The key point I would bring up is, and I would simply reiterate, it is a fascinating industry to be in. It's a tremendous privilege to be part of the Argenta global family. I mean, I know at least one person who started life in England, went to New Zealand, came to me, and I was gone back to England. That alone can be culturally incredibly enriching. And I don't mean just purely from the non-science aspects of life. She got to work with a bunch of different scientists, different points of view, different skill sets. Amazing. So never go into a system or a company with a preconceived idea that this is it for me. My horizon is right here. That horizon has not yet been defined for a person, especially a young science graduate. They've got a whole life ahead of them, and the horizon will keep expanding. And they need to be open-minded and be ready to grab opportunities as they come. In my experience, the ones who have done really well for me and the ones who continue to do very well for Argenta globally are those very same individuals I just described. So my advice is be prepared, be open-minded, and grab opportunities as they come. And a company like Argenta, you don't have to go outside Argenta to experience all that. You'll get it right here.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Isaacs. Those are wonderful tips and advices. And Jayhawks, really appreciate you doing this video. Thank you so much. And for fellow Jayhawks and alumni as well, we at the Career Center are here to help you to go through all this application process and finding jobs and help you prepare for interviews. So make use of us because we're here to help you. So this has been Dr. Ben Isaacs from Argenta Global, and thank you so much for joining our Bachelors in Science Investigating Careers interview series.
Hannah, thank you so much. Enjoyed it very much. Very insightful questions. I hope this will be of help, and I hope our paths cross again.